Hey guys, today is Saturday, February 29th of 2020. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. As always, I'm Caleb, your host, and today we're going to be talking about some of the latest news that's been happening in India's startup ecosystem over the course of the last week. And as always, there's a lot to cover, so let's jump right into it. First up in the news, social media startup ShareChat has acquired Elannic. Now, for those of you who don't know, Elannic is a social marketplace for people to buy and sell fashion products. Now, as part of this acquisition, the Elannic team is going to be joining ShareChat, and the founders are going to be taking leadership roles at the company. And this acquisition makes a lot of sense when you take into account the potential that the social commerce market has here in India. Some people are valuing this market at over $100 billion. Basically, what's happening here is that India is going through a bit of a transition where people from tier 2 and tier 3 cities who traditionally did not have access to the internet, and many of them didn't even have access to smartphones, now do. So they're getting online for the first time and they are diving into social commerce. And so it's really no surprise that ShareChat is looking to cash in on this opportunity. Now, ShareChat is going to have to compete with other competitors like Meesho, Glowroad, and Shop 101. But by acquiring Elannic, I think that they're setting themselves up as an adversary to be reckoned with. ShareChat currently has about 60 million users on their platform, and so when you pair that with the fact that Elannic has partnered with over 50,000 sellers and they're offering over 1 million different products, I think that they definitely have a shot at acquiring a substantial piece of the social commerce pie. Now, this news is coming to us just weeks after ShareChat announced the launch of their fantasy gaming platform, Jeet 11. So needless to say, things are going pretty well for ShareChat these days. The company was founded by Ankush Sachdeva, Farid Ahsan, and Banu Singh in 2015. And in a nutshell, the platform enables its users to discover and share content in 15 different Indian languages. So far, ShareChat has raised more than $200 million from investors like Twitter, Shunway Capital, and Saif Partners. All right, next up in the news, Uber, a company that has 350 electric vehicles in their fleet here in India, is planning on quadrupling that number to 1,500 by the end of this year. And this is a part of a larger plan that they have to make EVs a large portion of their fleet in the next 2 years. They're already offering electric autos on their platform in Chandigarh by partnering with Sun Mobility, and they've also partnered with e-cycle sharing startup Yulu to let their customers rent bicycles in Bangalore. And then on top of that, they're also teaming up with Mahindra Group to offer EVs in Hyderabad. In the last couple of years, EV adoption has really picked up here in India due to competitive pricing as well as a push from the government. Even though these are still the early days of EVs here in India, it's really exciting to see companies like Amazon, Ola, and now Uber making a big push towards going electric. All right, next up in the news, PayPal is reportedly launching a UPI-based payment service here in India. So PayPal has been operating in India for over 2 years now, but up until this point, they've only been providing P2M, which is peer-to-merchant transactions in the country. However, with the launch of this new UPI-based payment service, PayPal will also be expanding into the P2P, that's peer-to-peer, transaction space. While that is exciting, Paytm, Google Pay, and Phonepay already dominate the UPI-based payment space here in India, and so PayPal is going to be fighting an uphill battle. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't room for growth in this market. Like I said earlier in this video, India is going through a transition right now, and people from tier 2 and tier 3 towns are getting online for the first time every single day. However, in order to win these new internet users, PayPal will need to offer incentives that are more attractive than what is already on offer from its competitors. All right, next up in the news, OYO's founder and CEO Ritesh Agarwal is officially the world's second youngest self-made billionaire. He shares this title with Kylie Jenner, a famous TV personality and the founder and owner of Kylie Cosmetics. She's younger than Ritesh by 4 years, but they both have the same estimated wealth of $1.1 billion. While OYO has been going through a bit of a rough patch with mounting losses, rampant firings, and allegations of malpractice, Ritesh continues to be an inspiration for Indian entrepreneurs who dream of making it big. He received a much-needed morale boost when US President Donald Trump praised the young entrepreneur during his latest trip to India, saying, "I actually know of your company. Not such a small company, by the way." Good job. All right, next up in the news, Amazon is reportedly gearing up to enter into India's food delivery market. Now, this is coming to us from a recent TechCrunch report, and if this report is to be believed, then we should see Amazon launching its food delivery business in the next few weeks. And it's kind of too early to say at this point, but some people are speculating that this new service might be a part of Amazon Prime Now or Amazon Fresh, which is Amazon's grocery delivery platform. But one thing that we do know is that Amazon has been doing trial runs of its food delivery service in Bangalore in partnership with a couple of select restaurants. And personally, I find this news to be really interesting because I think the story is just so crazy when you look at it from a bird's eye perspective. This market has been changing and growing for so many years. A lot of the competition has been kicked out. You had Uber Eats, which just recently got acquired by Zomato, but then even further back in the past, you had Food Panda, you had Tiny Owl, but now there's just these two competing forces, Zomato and Swiggy. And I think Amazon, I can just imagine them sort of sitting back and looking at all this happening, taking notes, okay, that works, that doesn't work. Okay, that's why that startup failed. Okay, that's why that startup succeeded. And now finally, after things have kind of settled down a little bit and there's a bit of stability, now Amazon is gonna come in with all of their knowledge, with all of their expertise, with all of their money. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I'm excited to watch this transpire. Now, I'm not saying that this is a David and Goliath scenario by any means. Zomato is an international company. They're present in 24 countries around the world, and Swiggy is the largest food delivery platform in India. Combined, they've raised more than $2.5 billion. But this is Amazon we're talking about here. Amazon is the 13th largest company in the world by revenue. So anyways, what's gonna happen is really anyone's best guess, but I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Is this something that is positive? Is Amazon gonna bring in, more diversity? Now there will be 3 competitors in this market, or are you worried that Amazon is just gonna swallow these guys up and become the dominant food delivery platform in the country? I'm curious to know what you guys think, but most importantly, are you gonna order food on Amazon's new platform? Let me know in the comments. All right, next up in the news, self-drive car rental startup DriveZ is looking to launch its IPO, but surprisingly, they're not planning on going public in India. Instead, they're planning on going public in the United States and Japan. And according to Ankur Sengupta, who heads business development at DriveZ, the reason that they're doing this is simple. All of the investors are in the US and Japan. He also added that Indian law doesn't allow loss-making companies to go public in India, which leaves DriveZ really no other choice. And personally, I feel like this is kind of a tragedy. I mean, the Indian government should be offering incentives to companies who are thinking of going public in India. For example, OYO, or Paytm, or Ola, or Freshworks, or Urban Ladder. At this point, these companies don't see India as a lucrative option. But if the government changed the laws, then maybe they would. All right, moving on to some funding news, UPI payment startup BharatPe has raised $75 million in a Series C round from investors like Ribbit Capital, Ko2 Management, Insight Partners, Steadview Capital, and Amplo. So BharatPe is going to be using about $70 million of the Series C round to fund its NBFC arm, Resilient Capital. The remaining $5 million will be used to strengthen its technology and build new products. The startup had applied for an NBFC license back in August of 2019 and is expecting RBI to grant them the license by next month. So far, the fintech startup has already dispersed loans worth 100 crores, that's 1 billion rupees, to 20,000 merchants in the last 7 months through its partner NBFCs. Currently, they have a merchant base of 3 million across 30 cities, and they're looking to expand that number to 8 million by March of 2021. All right, next up in the funding news, Rupeek, which is an online platform for gold loans, has raised $60 million across 2 funding rounds from investors like GGV Capital, Binny Bansal, Bertelsmann India Investments, KB Investment, Tanglin Ventures, Sequoia Capital, and Accel. Rupeek is planning to use these funds to build its technology platform and acquire more customers. Founded by Amar Prabhu, Ashwin Soni, and Sumit Maniar in 2015, Rupeek offers loans by sending agents to the homes of their customers to value their gold. Once the gold has been valued, then the loan amount is credited directly to the customer's bank account. In order to do this, the startup has partnered with ICICI Bank, Federal Bank, and Karur Vyasaya Bank. What's more, their customers are charged as low as 0.89% interest per month on their loans. Rupeek claims to have served more than 1 lakh customers across 10 Indian cities. And what they're doing is pretty innovative, in my opinion. Basically, they are monetizing the idle gold in Indian households. Now, according to a 3-year-old study by the World Gold Council, Indian households have accumulated 23,000 to 24,000 tons of gold. And so with that in mind, Rupeek's growth and success makes a lot of sense. All right, next up in the funding news, Vogo has raised $19 million from investors like LGT Lightstone, Matrix Partners, Kalari Capital, and Stellaris Venture Partners. This funding will help the startup to expand to more locations across India and to further boost their IoT technology. This $19 million will bring the total amount of funds that Vogo has raised to $177.7 million. From investors like Ola Cabs, Altiria Capital, MedLife CEO Ananth Narayanan, and Matrix Partners. All right, next up in the funding news, Flipkart-owned digital payments platform Phonepay has raised $60 million, that's 4.27 billion rupees, from its parent company Phonepay Private Limited. This news comes days after Phonepay announced that they'll be spending 800 crores, that's $111 million, on marketing during this year. With 185 million users, Phonepay is among the top 3 payments platforms in India. With this massive marketing budget, the company is aiming to penetrate even deeper into Indian markets and move ahead of its competitors like Paytm and Google Pay. All right, next up in the funding news, health tech startup Qure.ai has raised $16 million from Sequoia Capital and Mass Mutual Ventures. Qure.ai was founded by Prashant Warrior and Pooja Rao in 2016. The health tech startup uses deep learning technology in its flagship product, QXR, which detects signs of tuberculosis by automatically screening chest x-rays for any abnormal findings. With these latest funds, Qure.ai will be further intensifying their research and development efforts while making their solutions more accessible and affordable. And the last piece of funding news that I have for you guys today is that Bloom Ventures has closed its opportunity fund at $41 million. 80% of this fund has already been deployed with investments targeted at successful portfolio startups that are currently in a Series B to Series D stage of growth. Bloom Ventures has invested in startups like Unacademy, Dunzo, Milk Basket, Purple, and Cashify. Last year, this firm was among the top 5 most active investors in India's startup ecosystem, and it looks like they're going to continue that trend moving forward into 2020. All right, that is all the Indian startup news that I have for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on some of the things that we talked about today? For example, Amazon reportedly coming out with this new food delivery service that will, I guess, be replacing Uber Eats. There was this gap that Uber Eats left when it was acquired by Zomato, and I guess Amazon is kind of coming in to fill that gap. Also, what are your thoughts on DriveZ and the fact that they are thinking of going public in the United States and Japan, but not in India? And also ShareChat foraying into the social commerce space with their acquisition of Elantic. All of these things and more, I would love to know your thoughts on in the comments down below. Also, please do share this video with anybody that you think would be interested in watching it. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires. I will see you in the next one.